Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the match reaction series. And a game that has seen Celtic maintain a 7-point lead at the top of the table. I can't stop smiling. Just feels great to be a Celtic fan at the moment. Motherwell 1, Celtic 2. A lovely result to take to Celtic Park on Saturday in our last game before the World Cup. It's great right now. If you haven't already, please make sure to hit like and subscribe. If you haven't, on the road to 37,000 subscribers. It's a late one tonight, midweek. Feels weird playing in the league midweek, doesn't it? When was the last time that happened? You know, we've had Champions League, we had, of course, the Viaplay Cup as well, the League Cup a few weeks ago at Fir Park. But the last time we played midweek in the league, Christ, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. But there you go, happened tonight, and in doing so, Celtic get a 2-1 victory at Fir Park. As I said, that keeps us 7 points clear at the top of the table with the results elsewhere in the league tonight. And one of those games that, honestly, I'm going to sit down here on this chair and say to you, I find it incredibly hard to talk about. I don't think tonight was a game that has tons of talking points. I don't think it was a game that presented, you know, enough to kind of drag 10 minutes out of by my own. Obviously, some great goals in the game, some VAR flashpoints, but in terms of general performance, Celtic tonight, I thought, were just in cruise control. I thought it looked as though we didn't need to get out of second gear, and it's one of those Ange Postecoglou performances that, yeah, we might have not been on the, you know, the kind of performance where we score every five, you know, it's a 5 or a 6-0, and we're peppering them with opportunities. Motherwell, a tough team to do that against. But, you know, we just looked so comfortable without it, and the scoreline might suggest it was a close game, and don't get me wrong, I think it was a competitive battle, but I just thought Celtic were in control the entire time, and that's what happens with this Celtic side. You know, we can rotate so heavily, we can play as many games as you throw at us, but I think we're always just going to have that ability to take a game, control it in the style that we do, and make things look like light work for us, and that was one of those games tonight. So, you know, obviously there are things to talk about. We've obviously got some performances to single out as well, but amongst all of that, the performance in general, I just thought it was easy work for Celtic tonight. No disrespect to Motherwell, but I just watched it very chilled, very relaxed, much like I thought many of the Celtic players looked tonight. I'm going to do it. I'm going to start the video with talking about VAR because I just want to get out of the way. I just want to get out my system. It's still something that is utterly baffling. I never had the chance on Saturday after the Dundee United game to have my wee rant on VAR, because you know me, I love a rant on VAR. But tonight, once again, I just want to talk about a couple of things from the game that I think that highlights the problems and the issues that VAR has presented the game since its introduction. And I think that tonight, amongst other games, is just yet another example of why VAR isn't useful in this country because of the people who are controlling it, and B, probably why it's been ushered in far too early. I feel like we should have waited till after the World Cup. We should have waited till maybe next season. It seems like nobody is prepared to use this. And the two occasions that I want to point out the most is the first one being our offside goal, which, by the way, one of the best offside goals you're ever going to see in your life. A terrific goal from Celtic, well worked by the team, fantastic, spectacular, should I say, finish from Jota, and it's called offside. Fair enough. Looks offside maybe to some. To me, I'm still looking at it going, is that really offside? Is that offside? Is it? Because it's so far away. The angle that they have provided the spectator to look at and say, yeah, it's offside. Is that the angle they've sat and judged that off in the wee office down at Clydesdale or wherever it is? Is that genuinely the angle they've looked at? How can anybody tell? I know they advertise Specsavers in the back of their shirt, but Christ almighty, you need the thickest specs on earth to look in that angle and see if there was any sort of offside body part. It baffles me. You know, this is another, like, they have this, you know, it's like a 6 or 7 camera setup, they say, for this VAR thing, but I feel like everything that they've provided us so far looks amateurish. And I know they're not going to be able to spend money as much as the Premier League does, or UEFA competitions does, or the Bundesliga does, but at least, you know, provide us with a product on the other end for the viewers to show where the evidence is based. Because that, to me, looked like potentially a wrong call. And if it's not a wrong call, they've not done a very good job at providing the evidence to suggest that the referee's decision was correct. I thought it was really, really poor. And I keep looking back at images and I'm like, is he offside? Is his elbow? I can't tell. Shocking, I think. And then the second thing I want to talk about is the tackle on Carl Starfelt. is atrocious. It's a really bad tackle. He goes in, he takes the feet away from Carl Starfelt. He's off the ground. Could have been an ankle breaker in another day. It's really, really poor. And I think there is a genuine debate for that being a potential red card incident. And there was no consideration, there was no consultation with the VAR, and that's apparently what it's there for. However, they're more than happy to abuse the VAR system for any other call. So why there, when there's a potential red card up for debate, they don't even have a sniff of it? It just doesn't make much sense to me. I'm kind of fed up with VAR. I was fed up with it before it was even introduced, so you could say I'm completely fed up with it. It's just going to happen week after week, and I don't want to make that the reoccurring story every time I come on here to do a match reaction video. I don't want to just have to come on here and moan about VR for 5-10 minutes, but it's just tiresome, and it really is a system that they need to figure out and get better with, because after the World Cup, if that's going to be the story between January till the last kick of the ball this season, we're in for a long 6 months. Is it 6? It's not quite 6. 5 months, say. Let's get into talking about the actual game itself, because that's what we're all here to talk about, really. The performance from the champions and the team who are currently 7 points clear at the top of the table. So I just have to keep getting that part in, because it just sounds great right now. Hopefully that'll be the gap, or maybe even a bigger gap come the break, the World Cup break, but we'll wait and see. Celtic got off to a really good start. We found the goal early. Kyogo Furuhashi being in the right place at the right time. But one thing I've got to say in the build-up for that goal is fantastic work from Matt O'Reilly. And do you know what? Matt O'Reilly came under criticism a couple of games, particularly in Europe, for how he might have performed in that role. And I was one of the people who wasn't too pleased with him. I think it was in the Shakhtar game at Celtic Park. I'm sure it was that game. And it came under some criticism, but I think in general, since he's taken on the role of Callum McGregor, since the absence of our captain, I think he's been so underrated in what he's doing. And tonight, you know, he pushes up the park really well. He wins the ball in a really good position for us. He sends it over pinpoint for Kyogo, and it finds us the lead. But what he does in that situation, in that area of the pitch, up high, beside the goals, he's been doing that a lot, and it's been going under the radar way back at the other end, way back where Callum McGregor would normally be sitting. I think he deserves a lot more credit for what he's been doing since filling in that role than what he's actually got. His statistics have been absolutely incredible if you read into them. And I think that it's just because what I would say is when Matt O'Reilly plays up further, when he plays in his normal position for Celtic, he's always involved in goals, isn't he? He's either, you know, assisting, he's scoring, or he's you know, very much within the phase of play that sees a goal. But now that he's back in McGregor's sort of area, the qualities that he does bring aren't as admired maybe as the qualities he brings when he is further up the park. And I feel like that makes people kind of overlook him a little bit. And he deserves a hell of a lot of credit. He does a fantastic job at getting the ball back and giving it into Kyogo in that area of the game, and it sets us off to a nice start as well, so no complaints there. Kyogo back in the score sheet as well. I hope he's trying to rub into the Japan manager the fact he's not taking him to the World Cup. I still think it's criminal, but 2 goals since that announcement that he wouldn't be going with the Japan team. One, of course, against Dundee United, and then another tonight. Hopefully that's the mojo of Kyogo coming back. I don't think he necessarily lost it, but it was definitely a wee period of time where he wasn't finding the net as often as he was, say, at the start of the season. I've never lost faith in him. I've never lost faith in his abilities. But I'm hoping that this is the start of another goal-scoring run for the striker. And, you know, that was just striker's work tonight. And there was a couple of times in the game, and just to touch on Kyogo very quickly, a couple of times in the game where I thought his movement was really, really good. One of them that stood out to me was the chance that Aaron Moy actually had, and it was blocked. And do you know what? I think Kyogo kind of maybe puts him off with running, but the way that he was switched on and ready to go in case Aaron Moy didn't, I thought it was really impressive. And maybe, you know, you could say, oh, he should have left it for Moy to fully concentrate, but Moy still got his shot away. Kyogo stopped himself. It was blocked by a Motherwell defender. But there was a couple of occasions in the game tonight I thought Kyogo's movement was really, really good. And that's the kind of qualities that he brings as a footballer to this team. One thing we have to touch on is the fact that the return of Starfelt and Camden Carter-Vickers. I thought tonight defensively we looked strong. I thought Juranovic looked a lot better tonight, I must say, after probably a run of form that hasn't been great for him. Greg Taylor, I think, had a quiet game, but done his job well. But Starfelt and Cameron Carter-Vickers being back together was nice. And I was really gutted for them that they lost the clean sheet towards the end of the game. But the delight when I seen the team sheet, when it was announced, to see those two back together again and starting at centre-half together was brilliant. I felt so good that we have them back. And I think Moritz Jens has done a terrific job coming in at times. maybe a little bit inconsistent, but he's been overall he's done a really good job filling in big shoes. But those two being back together tonight, they looked comfortable. I think that they both show that they have that understanding between each other. And although we weren't tested a lot, I just liked having them back. It brought a lot of that same feeling from last year when those two played together. I was gutted that they lost the clean sheet, as I said, but I'm just glad that Starfield never had to go off injured after that horrendous tackle. Imagine he got injured again. That would have been... I would have been raging. Let's leave it. I'd have been raging. I mean, for the rest of the first half, I think Motherwell showed little glimpses that they could get into the game and such, but overall, I think we handled it really well. Once again, I feel like we didn't have to get out of second gear. I just thought we took the game in our stride. We were quite casual in what we were doing, but it was working. And the rotation of the squad again was brilliant. I thought Moy looked good tonight. I didn't think it was a bad player in the park. Let's get into the second half. For the second goal, Dyson Maeda, what a finish, by the way. We obviously have already talked about the offside goal and the VAR decision, but fantastic finish from Dyson Maeda. Really good pass from David Turnbull. And hats off to Sead Haksabanovic for the little nod from the throw-in that kind of starts it all off. It is shithousery. People will moan about it. But VAR checked it and it's all okay. Very smart, Sead. That's why you're my favourite. But a brilliant finish from Maeda. I'm chuffed to see him back in amongst goals. And I'm chuffed to see him kind of coming out of this. You know, he was bombarded with criticism. He was really thrown to the sharks, you could say. A lot of people were ready to write him off as a player, but I think he still shows how important he can be to this Celtic side. He came off the bench tonight, brought that pace onto the park, and I think Celtic might have been losing some of that. And he gets a goal in amongst it. I think he's still got so much to offer to this Celtic team. If you were that quick to write him off, I would say reconsider. Look, I know he might not be the greatest player we've ever had. I know he's struggled at times. But I think one thing that Dyson Maeda needs in his game is confidence. And scoring goals like that tonight will give him that confidence. So I was very, very happy to see him score that tonight. But a lot of changes in the second half, of course. It was nice to see some different people get on the park and such. Giacomakis thought he wasn't that great. Haksabanovic, I didn't even think was that great in general either. I think those two in particular were the ones that kind of let me down the most when they came on the park. But still nice to see them. Still nice to see Abelgard and such come on as well. And obviously we conceded a goal, which was quite poor. I thought we turned off for a wee minute or two. It could have been offside, but it wasn't offside. VAR obviously checked that too. But these are the kind of things that, you know, Celtic are aware of, and we handled the game really well after that. You know, we just kept the ball. We played with our own pace. We didn't let Motherwell try and rile us up, because you know what Motherwell can be like, and that didn't happen. So I thought we handled the kind of closing stages of the game really, really well, and hopefully we don't concede goals like that again. I was gutted to see Vickers and Starfield lose that, but I think we just switched off at a set piece yet again, which was slightly annoying. I think that's basically all grounds covered for the game tonight for me. Just quick news, as I've been recording, Cameron Carter-Vickers has been selected for the American national team going to Qatar 2022. So congratulations to Cameron. I mean, obviously had to go. He deserves it. He's been one of the best defenders in Celtic's recent history, never mind recent seasons. You know, he's been so good. So fair play to him. I'm glad to see him go. Apart from that, I feel like I've said everything I have to say about tonight. Easy done for Celtic. A good 3 points. Keeps us 7 clear, and hopefully we'll take that confidence into the last game before the World Cup on Saturday. So we'll see what happens then. Anyway, that'll do it for me tonight. Up the Celts. Love it. Like and subscribe if you've enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.